Today we're going to be checking out some new magnetic switches. These are called the Elf King magnetic switches from TTC. TTC did sponsor this video and these were sent out for review. These Elf King switches from TTC are currently retailing for $8.10 for 15 pieces, $18.90 for 35 pieces, and $48.60 for 90 pieces. If you guys are unfamiliar with TTC's website, they sell a bunch of different key switches for keyboards as well as mouse switches as well. You can also find encoders on their website as well, so they just really sell a bunch of different parts for mice and keyboards. If you are in the mouse and keyboard space, you've probably heard of TTC before. If you guys want to check out any of their products, I will leave a link to their website in the description below. But yeah guys, these are the Elf King magnetic switches. As you know, I always recommend if you have a Hall effect keyboard and you want to upgrade the sound, especially on a Wooting, the first thing you should look into changing is definitely the switches. Changing the switches can definitely be a game changer when it comes to improving the sound of your keyboard. And then after that, you can look into stuff like swapping out the case. But really the first thing that I would look into if you want to improve the sound and feel of your Hall effect keyboard is definitely going to be changing out the switches. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. If you want to skip straight to the sound test, I'll have a timestamp in the description below. But these are the specs of the Elf King magnetic switch right here. They do come pre-lubed from the factory, so that means you don't have to hand lube these yourself, which is very convenient. On the bottom here, you can actually see there's two ventilation holes. This is supposedly for heat dissipation, which will ensure that the switch performs as efficiently as possible, and supposedly it should lead to a longer lifespan as well for the switch. The spring inside of here is 17 millimeters long, which means you get a really bouncy and responsive feedback. The switch itself looks pretty nice. You have a Tiffany blue stem here with clear upper housing, which will help improve the RGB shine through. But yeah, that's basically it. So currently inside of my Wooting 60HE, this is a fully modded 60HE. If you want to watch the video of me fully modding this keyboard, I'll leave it in the description as well. But I basically just swapped out the switches here for the Gateron Magnetic Jade Pros, and also I did a case swap to the Tofu Redux as well, and just changed out the keycaps here. So I'm actually very happy with how the keyboard feels and sounds currently, but I'm interested to see the difference with these Elf King switches, if there is any difference versus the Gateron Magnetic Jade Pros. You can see on the TTC website here, they have a ton of different mouse switches. As you can see, you can just scroll down and there's a ton. They also have a bunch of key switches as well. They have traditional switches for just regular mechanical keyboards, but they also have a bunch of different Hall effect magnetic switches. Up here, as you can see, there's the Purple Heart, the Sacred Heart. All of these are magnetic switches that are compatible with Hall effect. You have the Helios magnetic switch here, and then the Elf King switch, which is what I have. A Commander King switch, which is also magnetic. So yeah, the Hall effect switch market has really expanded and there's a ton of different options to choose from, all of them with slightly different typing feels and sound profiles as well, so you can really find something that matches your preference. Alright, with that being said, let's get this keyboard apart and swap these switches out. So I just finished putting the switches in here, and this is what they look like, very similar to the Gateron Jade Pros, just a different stem color here. But yeah, one thing I didn't do when I was reviewing the magnetic silent switches, which by the way, if you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link to it in the description below, where I checked out one of the world's first magnetic Hall effect switches that are actually silent. But yeah, one thing I didn't do in that video is actually test the stem wobble, so let's do that right now with these Elf King switches. One thing I really like about the Gateron Jade Pros is that there's very little stem wobble. And it seems like for the Elf Kings, there's also very minimal stem wobble, as you can see there. Honestly, it might be even less than my Gateron Jade Pros. If they're not less, then they're very, very similar. Like there's barely any stem wobble on these Elf Kings. But yeah, the switch itself feels very smooth. There's no scratchiness whatsoever. Like even just slowly pressing the switch down, I don't feel any scratchiness. So it seems like the factory lubing is really, really good. All right, guys, this is the board all assembled. Now let's get into a sound test. Alright guys, that was the sound test right there. I think it sounds super solid. Let me know in the comments what you think about the sound of the Elf King switch. But in terms of the feeling itself, the Elf Kings are definitely a heavier switch when compared to the Gateron Jade Pros, so it's really just about preference and what you prefer. And that's the awesome part about switches on keyboards, is that you can really customize it to fit your typing style, whether you want a lighter actuation or heavier actuation. There's always a switch out there that is going to fit your needs. Using these switches in-game felt really good. There was no noticeable difference between these Elf Kings and every other magnetic switch I've used. Performance felt super snappy. I used the utility actuation indicator as well, just to make sure that the switch was tracking properly all throughout the actuation, and all of that seemed fine. So yeah guys, performance here is solid and there doesn't seem to be any glaring issues. Alright guys, those were the magnetic Elf King switches from TTC. Again, shout out to TTC for sponsoring this video and sending over these switches for me to check out. If you guys again want to check out any of their switches on their website, I will leave a link to that in the description below. That's pretty much it guys. Hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one. Peace.